Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be going through today the controller settings I use to hopefully get into Iridescent in Black Ops 6 Rank Play for Season 3. And I've been using these controller settings in Season 1 and Season 2, as you can see here, to also hit Iridescent in Black Ops 6 Ranked Play. I'm not only going to go through what my settings strictly are, I'm also going to be going through why they are the way they are to hopefully add a little bit of context and hopefully enable you to make your own decisions based on what I'm showing you today. A lot of people have been asking me for my layout settings and what sensitivity do I use. So I thought, you know what, let me just do it in a video. Hopefully it's clear. And if you have any questions that I haven't managed to cover in today's video about controller settings, leave them down in the description or comments probably below. Before we get into it, I just want to cover what my controller is. So I play on a PS5 controller. It's from Controller Mods. I have three additions to the standard. So I have instant click, so that it's like a mouse click trigger. I have two back buttons, and then my right and left stick are both have got the Hall effect sticks, which are basically magnets that make it stay central, which add a little bit of tension to the sticks, but also make it so that you're less likely to get stick drift over time. So jumping straight into the settings, which is what you're all actually here for. Starting at the top, I play in tactical. Essentially, this is completely user preference. I've always played tactical, and that basically enables me to slide or crouch or lay down with my right stick and melee with my B or circle, depending on whether you're on Xbox or PS5. I've got melee attributed to one of my back sticks, back buttons, so I can easily just pull out the knife by holding that, or melee reactively just by doing that. And tactical, I've always played that way. Never been different. Back in the drop shotting days, I used tactical, and that's why. But again, that's personal preference. Use what you're comfortable using, whatever you're used to. I then play on a 1.6 sensitivity. That's equivalent to just less than a 7 sensitivity on the olden time sort of metric. Again, sensitivity, personal choice, but you don't want to stray too high or too below 1.6 because that's almost a sweet spot. 1.65 around that sort of area is probably really nice. Anything greater than that is risking you not being able to center correctly, and anything less than that, drastically less than that, risks you not being able to turn and react as quickly as you want to when enemies slide under you or slide past you or things like that. The best way to find a comfortable horizontal stick sensitivity is by going into a bot lobby, trying to center on enemies quite easily, and if you can do that, your stick sensitivity is probably in the right area. This sort of sensitivity is more focused on ensuring that you're able to center the middle of your screen on an enemy before you ADS. That's what this is. ADS sensitivity, I'm going to get into in a minute, slightly different, and that covers how long you're able to stay on target for once you're centered properly. But this is a sensitivity you want to sort of change a bit if your centering isn't as accurate as it could be. I then have all of this off. I don't play flipped. I have controller vibration on, but I have got the rumbles taken out of this, so I actually don't feel any vibration come through to my hands. Dead zone inputs. I'm going to go through things you probably do want to have on, absolutely. So 75 left stick max is a definite, 99 right stick max, definite, 0-0 right trigger and left trigger dead zones. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to get into the left stick minimum and right stick minimum in a second, so bear with. Left stick max, you want it at 75 because essentially what that enables you to do, the game recognizes that you're using the full extent of your left stick a little bit quicker. It enables attack sprint quicker. It enables any sort of movement that requires full movement of your stick a lot quicker. So that's nice to keep your sliding, sprinting nice and reactive. We then have right stick max of 99, which is the case so that you've got full movement and full maneuverability of your whole area that you're able to use your right stick on. Left trigger and right trigger are on 0, so that when I press my triggers, it's an instant reaction. Now, if you're prone to accidentally pressing your right trigger or left trigger, or you sometimes push them in a little bit, maybe up your dead zones on these two areas here, so that it's a little bit more comfortable. Now, the minimum dead zones for the sticks, the left stick and right stick, I have set to 4 and 2. Two things you got to remember here. If you have stick drift, which is when your controller is placed and you're not even moving it, your sticks sway to the left or sway to the right. You can test that using the dead zone tester here. You can see it's a slight movement here, but it's really not much. It goes back to 0-0. It's a bit shaky, but the right stick just flicks back to 0-0. That's sort of what you want to be looking for. Anything like 1 or 2% is probably fine as well. You want it to be as low as possible without having drastic stick drift, but you also want it to be as low as possible with your aim still being on. So there's two things that affect how low this can be, and it wants to be as low as possible. First thing is stick drift. If you have stick drift, you want to bump up a bit. And second thing is stick tension. If your sticks are too loose, if your dead zone is also really low, you're going to be a bit trembly. Your aim is going to be a little bit shaky because your dead zone is too low and your sticks don't have enough tension. So if you have good tension in your sticks and you can control it nice and easily without them being a bit shaky, and you've got barely any stick drift like I have here, your right and left stick dead zones should be relatively low. Yeah, hopefully that explains it. Hopefully that helps. We're now going to be going on to the aiming specific sensitivities. So sensitivity multiplier I have as off currently. I'm going to get into sensitivity in a second. My look and version on foot is standard. Aiming advanced settings is where I fiddle around with my custom sensitivity per zoom, and that's where I get my ADS sensitivity a little bit locked in. So ADS sensitivity transition timing is instant. That basically makes it so that as soon as I'm pulling my left trigger, it supplies me with that new ADS sensitivity straight away. Third person is irrelevant. Aim response curve is dynamic, and this needs to be turned up to 1 so that you're getting a real good amount of curve there. Dynamic aim response curve isn't dynamic aim assist. This essentially means that you're able to make fine adjustments in your aim when you're moving your stick a little bit, but then when you pull your stick quite far, it reacts quickly because you've moved it far. That's what dynamic does in real short. Constant sensitivity per zoom I have on. I have everything at 1 apart from low zoom ADS sensing multiplier. I have that at 0.8, and that's just a 0.8 ADS sensitivity that enables me to stay on target and shoot really clean, close-knit shots when I'm shooting enemies at far range as well. Obviously I have aim assist on. I've got my motion sense behavior off because I don't want my gyro to be affecting how my aim is performing or how I'm moving my character. And then obviously you have this. It doesn't matter what that is as long as that's off. Movement wise, I have sprint assist on. I have 0 sprint delay. I also have sprint assist always on backwards as well. Mantle assist is completely off. I want to be full control of when I'm mantling. There's nothing worse than accidentally mantling over something and losing a gunfight as a result. I want to be in control. It's completely off. Crouch assist exactly the same. Corner slice I have on, personal preference, and that's not really a control. I think that's more of a visual thing. I'm not sure why it's in this category. I then have slide dive behavior currently at slide only. I haven't found diving to be much use within this game, and sometimes it can happen accidentally. So I don't want it to happen. I don't use diving much. There's no problem for me. But again, that's completely personal preference. If you're happy adapting to that hybrid stick movement behavior, crack on. But I would very much avoid tap to slide or tap to dive because that adds a delay to whatever you're trying to do as the tap, because it needs to wait to determine whether or not you've held it to do the other thing. So you either want slide only, dive only, or hybrid, depending on what you use more or whether what you're happy with. You'd want to try and avoid tap to slide and tap to dive if you can. We then have sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on, parachute behavior is a bit irrelevant, mantle cancels reload on. I'm in control of mantling because of the setting up here, so I know that's on, but again, completely personal preference. Movement advanced settings, I have everything pretty much off. I have single tap sprint, which enables me to walk or tack sprint, and there's no real medium, but that's a nice way for me to, 1, prolong the life of my controller, but 2, still be in control of what I'm doing. So give that a go if you feel like that's something you might need to work on a bit. And then I have plunging underwater as trigger. And then button door bash is on as well, just because why not? And then we move down to vehicle behaviors, which we're not going to into. And then finally we are on combat. So aim down on sight is on hold. Mountains are relevant for ranked play. I hold melee to pull out my melee weapon. Again, personal preference. Seeing if there's anything else that we need to be looking at. Okay, so prioritize interact. This is something I recommend everybody applies to their setting. Now what this does is that, as normal, let's say you just have to reload and there's nothing around you to pick up, pressing the square or X on your Xbox controller will simply reload. However, if you need to reload and you are on top of a gun, you will have to hold X or square to reload with this setting on, or tap it to pick a gun up. Now, the reason I would prefer to pick a gun up rather than sit there and reload is because picking a gun up with ammo in is far quicker in this game than it is to actually reload. So when I'm in a real tight situation where I need the speed of just having to tap something, I'd much rather be able to quickly pick up a gun than sit there and actually reload the weapon I currently have. And that enables me to pick up guns really quickly, progress with the gunfights, get that 6 piece if it comes around. But that's a real nice thing. I don't think enough people use that. Sprint cancels reload off, because again, I want to be in control of what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And then everything else is fairly straightforward, other than the fact that the depleted ammo switch doesn't really happen too much. I know when I'm at 0, I press reload and it happens, but you can turn that off if, again, you want that control back. And then everything else is pretty much as it should be. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.